Let me say a few things before I take your questions. As you know, the special counsel released his findings today about their look into my handling of classified documents. I was pleased to see he reached a firm conclusion that no charges should be brought against me in this case. This was an exhaustive investigation going back more than 40 years, even into the 1970s when I was still a new United States Senator. I went forward with a 5-hour in-person interview over 2 days on October the 8th and 9th.
Former Special Counsel Robert Hur testified before Congress on Tuesday regarding his investigation into President Joe Biden's handling of classified documents, which concluded without any charges against the president. However, Hur's characterization of Biden as a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory in his report sparked controversy among Democrats. While Hur defended his investigation's legal aspects, the House Judiciary Committee members engaged in a politically charged debate over the implications of his report months ahead of the 2024 presidential election. Republicans pressed Hur on why he didn't prosecute Biden, while Democrats criticized his remarks about Biden's memory and focused on contrasting Biden's case with that of former President Donald Trump, who was indicted last year for a similar offense.
No matter the role, no matter the administration, I have applied the same standards and the same impartiality. My respect for the Justice Department and my commitment to this country are why I agreed to serve as special counsel when asked by the Attorney General. We identified evidence that the President willfully retained classified materials after the end of his vice presidency when he was a private citizen. This evidence included an audio-recorded conversation during which Mr. Biden told his ghostwriter that he had, quote, just found all the classified stuff downstairs, end quote. When Mr. Biden said this, he was a private citizen speaking to his ghostwriter in his private rental home in Virginia. We also identified other recorded conversations during which Mr. Biden read classified information aloud to his ghostwriter. We did not, however, identify evidence that rose to the level of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Because the evidence fell short of that standard, I declined to recommend criminal charges against Mr. Biden. My report reflects my best effort to explain why I declined to recommend charging President Biden. There has been a lot of attention paid to language in the report about the president's memory, so let me say a few words about that. The evidence and the president himself put his memory squarely at issue. We interviewed the president and asked him about his recorded statement, quote, I just found all the classified stuff downstairs, end quote. He told us that he didn't remember saying that to his ghostwriter. He also said he didn't remember finding any classified material in his home after his vice presidency. And he didn't remember anything about how classified documents about Afghanistan made their way into his garage.
Here are 5 key takeaways from Tuesday's hearing. In the report released last month, Special Counsel Robert Hur found no basis for criminal charges against President Biden. Hur noted that while Biden did retain and disclose classified documents after his term as vice president when he was a private citizen, Hur assessed that a jury might likely perceive him as an elderly individual with memory challenges, which unable to establish his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Democrats welcomed Hur's decision not to pursue charges but criticized him for commenting on Biden's memory, suggesting it was beyond his role. Hur addressed these concerns, explaining that evaluating the president's intent required considering his cognitive state. He maintained that his remarks were essential and justified.
My task was to determine whether the president retained or disclosed national defense information willfully. That means knowingly and with the intent to do something the law forbids. I could not make that determination without assessing the president's state of mind. For that reason, I had to consider the president's memory and overall mental state and how a jury likely would perceive his memory and mental state in a criminal trial. These are the types of issues that prosecutors analyze every day. And because these issues were important to my ultimate decision, I had to include a discussion of them in my report to the Attorney General.
During the hearing, when probed by Republicans about whether he considered Biden senile, Hur clarified that he had not made such a determination, and it was not mentioned in his report.
Attorney Hur, Webster's dictionary defines senile as exhibiting a decline of cognitive ability, such as memory associated with old age. Mr. Hur, based on your report, did you find that the president was senile?
I did not. That conclusion does not appear in my report, Congressman.
You felt, though, that the president's memory or lack thereof was a critical reason to decline prosecution. The reason I'm asking this is whether you believe the president would be fit to stand trial, or do you think his lawyers would argue his incompetence to stand trial due to his state of mind? Also, was he in a place to actually be questioned?
Congressman, my report, to the extent that it addresses the president's memory gaps that we identified and the evidence that we obtained during our investigation, they are addressed in the context of determining how the jury would perceive, receive, and consider evidence relating to whether or not.
Democratic members allege that Hur's report was crafted to negatively impact Biden's image in the upcoming 2024 election, despite concluding that no charges against the president were warranted. Congressman Adam Schiff from California challenged Hur, suggesting that he must have anticipated the political uproar his words would cause. Schiff implied that Hur was fully aware of the implications of his report.
Nowhere in the rules I was to prepare a confidential report that was comprehensive and thorough of an explanation.
What is in the rules, Mr. Hur, what is in the rules is you don't gratuitously do things to prejudice the subject of an investigation when you're declining to prosecute. You don't gratuitously add language that you know will be useful in a political campaign. You were not born yesterday. You understood exactly what you were doing. It was a choice. You certainly didn't have to include that language. You could have said vis-a-vis the documents that were found at the university, the president did not recall. There is nothing more common. You know this, I know this. There is nothing more common with a witness of any age when asked about events that are years old to say, I do not recall. Indeed, they're instructed by their attorney to do that if they have any question about it. You understood that. You made a choice. That was a political choice. It was the wrong choice. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Arizona.
Hur, however, refuted this notion, assuring Schiff that political motivations did not influence his investigative process.
Is that I shape, sanitize, omit portions of my reasoning and explanation to the Attorney General for political reasons.
No, I suggest that you not shape your report for political reasons, which is what you did.
That did not happen, Congressman. That did not happen.
Nonetheless, when questioned about potentially serving in a future Trump administration, Hur chose not to speculate, stating that he was not there to discuss hypothetical future scenarios.
See if you will pledge to not accept an appointment from Donald Trump if he is elected again as president.
Congressman, I'm not here to testify
Seems like an easy
about
answer.
what will happen in the
Considering
future.
what I just laid out.
I'm here to talk about the report and the work that went into it. And
But you don't want to be associated with that guy again, do you?
Congressman, I'm not here to offer any opinions about what may or may not happen in the future. I'm here to talk about the work that went into the report, which I stand by.
Republicans have expressed concerns that Hur granted Biden an exception to prevent the indictment of a current president, contrasting this with Trump's charges for mishandling classified information post-presidency. Florida's staunch Republican representative, Matt Gaetz, criticized the special counsel's justification for not charging Biden, labeling it the senile cooperator theory.
That wasn't true either, was it?
That was inconsistent with the findings of our investigation.
Another lie, people might say, right? Because what you put in your report was among the places Mr. Biden's lawyers found classified documents in the garage was a damaged open box. So here's what I'm understanding, right? As Mr. Armstrong laid out, you find in your report that the elements of a federal criminal violation are met. But then you apply this senile cooperator theory, that because Joe Biden cooperated and the elevator doesn't go to the top floor, you don't think you get a conviction. And I actually think you get to the right answer in that. I don't think Biden should have been charged, don't think Trump should have been charged. But under the senile cooperator theory, isn't it frustrating that Biden continues to go out and lie about the basic facts of the report that lay out a federal criminal violation?
Congressman, I need to disagree with at least one thing that you said, which is that I found that all of the elements were met. One of the elements of the relevant mishandling statute is the intent element, and what my report reflects is my judgment that based on the evidence, I would not be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt to a jury that that intent element had been met.
Right, but the reason you have that doubt is the senile cooperator theory. The fact that Joe Biden is so inept in responding that you can't prove the intent, which again, I don't quibble with that conclusion, but it's frustrating to be like, oh, well, this guy's not getting treated the same way as Trump because the elevator's not going to the top floor, so we can't prove intent. While at the same time, Biden goes out there at the White House and says, well, you know, he just blatantly lies. And what I'm trying to figure out is whether or not Biden's lying because he's still so senile, he hasn't read your report, or whether it's a little craftier and a little more devious and perhaps a little more intentional than we might otherwise think. So I also want to go to this Biden-Pence.
In response, Democrats highlighted that Trump had allegedly defied orders to surrender classified documents to federal authorities. In a pointed inquiry, Congressman Jerry Nadler, a key Democrat on the Judiciary Committee, raised concerns about Trump's competency, questioning what it implies about his mental state to repeatedly mishandle opportunities to evade criminal liability. Nadler also dismissed House Republicans' assertions of a biased justice system as lacking factual support. During Hur's questioning, Representative Pramila Jayapal, a Democrat, focused on the special counsel's decision not to charge Biden.
So this lengthy, expensive, and independent investigation resulted in a complete exoneration of President Joe Biden. For every document you discussed in your report, you found insufficient evidence that the president violated any laws about possession or retention of classified materials. The primary law that you analyzed for potential prosecution was part of the Espionage Act, 18 U.S.C. 793E, which criminalizes willful retention or disclosure of national defense information. Is that correct?
Congresswoman, that is one statute that we analyzed. I need to go back and make sure that I take note of the word that you used, exoneration. That is not a word that
I'm
appears
going
in
to
the
continue
report,
with
and
my
that's not part of my
questions.
task as a
I'm going to
prosecutor.
continue with my questions.
The
I know
judgment
that the
received,
term
I ultimately reached
I
related
know
to
that the
whether
term
sufficient evidence existed such that the likely
you
outcome
you
would be
exonerated
a conviction.
him. I know that
did
the
not
term
exonerate him.
willful
That word does not appear in
retention
the
has a
report, Congresswoman.
Mr. Hur, it's my time. Thank you.
Despite the absence of the term exonerate in Hur's report, it begins with the statement, "We conclude that no criminal charges are warranted in this matter. We would reach the same conclusion even if Department of Justice policy did not foreclose criminal charges against a sitting president." The House Judiciary Committee Democrats disclosed transcripts of Biden's discussions with Hur, which seem to differ from their public characterizations. In his report, Hur noted that Biden could not recall the time frame of his son Beau's passing, a point that visibly upset Biden. He expressed his indignation in a press conference, questioning the relevance of such a detail to the investigation.
There's some attention paid to some language in the report about my recollection of events. There's even reference that I don't remember when my son died. How in the hell dare he raise that? Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, it wasn't any of their damn business. Let me tell you something. Some of you have commented, I wear since the day he died, every single day, the rosary he got from Our Lady of...
However, the transcripts show that Hur did not directly ask about Beau Biden's death date. Instead, Hur's questions were about the location of certain documents after Biden's White House departure, to which Biden referred to his son's passing for context. Biden did not specify which year his son died, prompting an aide to remind him that it was 2015. The transcripts also cast doubt on Hur's remarks about Biden's memory. While Biden occasionally struggled with the chronology of document transfers, he also provided detailed accounts and recollections of past events.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
This is a man who is sharp, who is on top of his game, who knows what's going on.
This guy's tough, he's smart, he's on his game.
His mental acuity is great.
This is a very sharp president.
This is a man that's on his game.
President Biden is absolutely fit.
There's not a problem.
He's sharp, he's fit, he's always answering questions.
He is on the ball. He was sharper than anyone I've spoken to.
He is sharp,
He is on top of things.
There's no doubt in my mind that the president is mentally fit for office.
Biden has proven himself to have a strong memory.
He's completely mentally sharp.
He's at the top of his game.